Hello everyone, this is Cece, and this is my podcast, Raw Honey, and I'm coming to you guys for another episode this week. I haven't posted one probably like 7 days, so a little bit off schedule. I'm kind of sticking to the schedule of like 1 to 2 times a week. As far as the consistency goes, I'm usually posting on the weekends. So if you're looking for that consistency, to my 2 fans, my mom and my sister, that is when I will be posting. So I have a really inspiring story today to talk, or I'm not necessarily talking about the story, but it inspired me to speak on a time in my life and a tool that I've used to get through this topic. And I'm excited to tell you guys about it because it's something, sadly, that women and probably men too go through really normally in their adolescence, and it's become normalized because it's happening so frequently, and it just breaks my heart. So I'm hoping that even if just one person sees this and gains some knowledge and is able to do some preventative work with their young girls or themselves, then that is one less person that has to go through some trauma. So that is what this work is all about. Okay, so I had this friend that I was talking to, and she was having some issues with just, body image issues and eating issues, not in the sense that there's like a medical disorder happening, but just, and this is the part that made me reflect so much, is one of the first things I told her after she talked to me about it was, this is so normal, because every single institution that has women as a main market is programming us to go into those issues, body image issues, self-esteem issues, confidence issues, and the cure to all the issues is the product, but it's the product forever. So how do you continue that need? And it creates an addiction to whether it's makeup or it's fake eyelashes or hair or diets or pills or whatever it is that it's telling us that we need, or it's magazines and it's a way to look, a body shape to have, to aim for, to surgically get. Whatever it is, like, those institutions are, really breaking women down, whether intentionally or non-intentionally or unintentionally. So I was just like telling her this is completely normal, because every single main marketplace, even if you think it has really good intentions, there is an element there of continuing the need for women to have it, and it just happens to continue that need. It forces us to sort of break down a lot of our confidence, because we have to continue to use this thing to get the confidence. So how do it's a method of keeping you interested in their product, and they're subconsciously, filling you with shame and permanent issues with your body and with what you're intaking and everything else. So I sadly kind of told her that and realized how much I have normalized it. And then also through speaking to her, I realized that I have not spoken about my how I got through my issues with my body and eating, and kind of forgotten that I ever went through that. And there was this huge epiphany moment with her that I'm like, I was brought right back into that 20-year-old girl that couldn't look in the mirror and without wishing something would change, based on societal expectations. And I just was a little brokenhearted in the moment. I'm like, wow, I totally forgot. When you're on the other side, you don't want to go back. You know, you don't want to go back to that place, because you know you're probably going to be triggered and feel some of those feelings that you felt when you're in that place, and also just feel kind of some guilt that you ever let that girl go through it. But this conversation with her really allowed me to take a step back and be like, you know, that's just like, this isn't her fault. It doesn't mean she can't make choices to recover from it. It wasn't my fault either. Like, I was really following very normal patterns of social expectation and social trends that led me to where I ended up, and that's not my fault. Doesn't mean I'm a permanent victim, but I have to accept that it's not my fault, because it's where I just have to forgive myself for going through that, and going into those societal trends. And so I really had found a lot of humility in this conversation with her, because I remembered what it was like to be my biggest enemy and to be my harshest critic. And it was horrible. So having that conversation with her was really powerful. And then also thinking into, like, what steps did I take to actually overcome that? And I had never thought about that before, because I think so much more of my work has revolved around just like mental health, in the sense of like journaling and this and sort of just like a preventative ideologies. But I had never talked to people about, like, hey, I had eating issues, I had body issues, and these are some of the steps that I took. Like, I haven't ever talked to that audience, and so it was sort of a new demographic for me. But it's also something I have personal experience with. So I'm like, I'm happy to have this conversation with her, because I'm actually having to make that healing process tangible, because I never have spoken about this to a lot of people in the way that I've spoken about my previous depression and my other mental issues. Or not like as if I have a ton of mental issues, just mainly just like having depression, having issues with relationships. I had never talked about body image stuff. So I started to peel back the layers and be like, what did I do to get where I am now? And I think I created a pretty good, like, general guidepost for how I got through that time in my life and got to where I am now. And I also told my friend, I'm like, don't be fooled by, like, my confidence right now. Like, I have this genuine confidence, but I was where you were at, like, a year ago. Like, I don't think I really felt completely healthy and in a good relationship with my body and food until, like, a year ago. And it was really through college and, like, the end of high school that I struggled with it. So, like, 6 years previously. And probably when I was a younger teenager too, but I don't remember those times as clearly as I remember having the issues toward the end of high school and through college. So, and at the beginning, once I graduated college, at the beginning of that. So I was like, don't think you're alone. You're not alone, and this is completely normal. Sadly, I'm not saying it's okay that it's normal, but I'm saying, like, you're not alone, basically, and that the institutions we are fed lead to this path, in my opinion and in my experience. So sort of the steps that I talked to her about and talked to myself about too, because I had never made them, like, so tangible before, was, and I think I spoke on it in the last episode about social media too. The first step that I took, my dog is being very loud. Hello. You good? It's a triggering conversation for her. Sort of the first step I took was getting rid of my Instagram. And so I'm not saying this in the sense that everyone needs to get rid of their Instagram. I'm saying that I sort of needed to take a huge step back, and Instagram in itself was really triggering for me. I was spending a lot of time on pictures. This was probably when I was 18, 19 years old. I was spending a ton of time filtering pictures and just looking at other influencers and continuing to see like, this is what I need to look like. My legs need to look like this, and my waist needs to look like this, and my face needs to look like this. Like all these things that I was critiquing about myself and feeding this cycle of just never-ending dissatisfaction in myself. And every single picture wasn't good enough. And every time you take a picture and you say you don't like it, you're saying you don't like yourself. And I don't think that people understand that, because they're like, oh, it's just not a good picture of me. And it's like obviously there's some lighting and there's some things that can enhance a picture, but at the end of the day, that's you. This is this picture, especially if it's just a normal camera, is not programmed to make you look extra horrible. And even if it is, like, it's you. And you are beautiful all the time. And that's where I had to start. I had to start by just stop taking pictures of myself. And if there was a group photo, I didn't look at it. And I was like, yep, it's great. It was a huge amount of acceptance and humility and forgiveness in that process for me. And I just stopped caring and started just loving me and being like, no. It's a great picture. If you like it, great. And I let that other person take on that burden. If they wanted to edit it and do all their other stuff, I'm like, okay, I don't care. So whatever you want to post doesn't matter to me. And even if I saw it and I had some triggering thoughts like, oh, I don't like the way my legs look, I don't want to like the way my face looks, I would just feel through it and fine and be like, it's me. That's me. And I'm beautiful because it's me, and I am proud of who I am and what I look like. And that was the biggest first step for me. And so it's pretty intimidating for people, and it's not like that all happened to me within deleting my Instagram. All of a sudden I had all this gratitude and all this affirmation and acceptance. It was definitely a process of deleting it and just starting to notice why, and really tap into my feelings, like, why am I taking this picture of myself? And if I don't have anywhere to post it, why is that the only reason that I'm taking a picture of myself is for the audience and the approval? So starting to peel back like my psyche and trying to understand the why. So that was probably my first step. There's a couple of steps intertwined in that, so maybe it's like really way too many things for one person to start doing, but I think the first step was just not posting pictures of myself and taking off a platform that sort of revolved around that in the age group I was in, just taking that out. And I stopped posting them on Facebook, I stopped posting them anywhere, and I just completely got rid of the Instagram. So that was a huge first step for me. I would say the second step took a lot longer for me to get to, and that's that's the third step. The second step I would say is affirmation journaling. And what I did in this, and it sort of like coupled with the reflection, is I would write every day in my journal for like 2 years. I am beautiful the way I am. I'm unconditionally loved. Some spin-off of those two phrases, just beautiful the way I am, unconditionally loved, I'm healthy, I am strong, I am loved, I am passionate, I have purpose, just, yeah, those kind of things. And I also I stopped weighing myself. I just stopped using scales in my life at all. And I stopped putting my health in a number form. So those are sort of the first couple steps that I took. And then the one that took me a long time was having a healthy relationship with food, because I kind of got a little bit obsessed with the different types of diets. And I think that it's really important when going into, if you're to go into a type of diet and you haven't reflected on how you feel about food and how you feel about your body, you can end up in a really bad place. So I definitely didn't do that, and I definitely was on the curve of trying to find a diet that would fix my issues with my body and my self-esteem. And it doesn't matter what diet it is, it's not gonna fix it. It takes a coupling actions. So and it was also hard because so many food groups, or so much food is processed in our country, and probably in the world too. And a lot of it is made to keep you addicted to it, just like the other institutions I've talked about with women and beauty and these other things. They're like filling the need, but they're creating the need at the same time. So that was really hard. I was definitely eating a lot of processed food in this diet category, and I was doing fasting and feeding into that my restricted nature that I already had, and my issues with food that I already had, and that was really unhealthy for me too. So it took me a hot minute to come out of that, and what really helped me was starting to go more plant-based. And I'm not trying to speak for a diet here or anything. This is completely my experience. But I found I didn't know what my body wanted. I didn't know what it was trying to say. I didn't know what I was hungry for. I didn't even know what hunger was. I was all over the place. So I just wanted to eat things that I felt like were going to tell me the truth, because I felt so lied to. And I was doing keto, I was doing all this stuff, and I was just going crazy. I was just feeling crazy. And I would go on these crazy binges because I was starving for carbs, and I was just not doing any of the steps right, I'm sure. And I was not in a good place. So I remember it distinctly. I made this smoothie. I hadn't eaten fruit in like a year at this point. I made this smoothie with all this fruit in it. And I think I had some spinach and stuff in there too. And I just felt, for the first time, I felt like I really knew what my body wanted. And I felt so much better. And so it's not the food in itself. Those foods are good for you, but I think for the first time I felt what I wanted, and I started figuring out what my body was telling me, and I started following that sort of like breadcrumbs to the final destination. I started following those breadcrumbs, and discovering what made my body feel a certain way. And so for me, being mainly plant-based has made me the happiest and made me the healthiest. I'm not saying that's like that for everyone. Definitely not saying that at all. Like, I'm not going to preach for the health benefits and blah, 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 blah. Like, you come to things on your own, but just, I kind of did a food diary during this time too. Like, this is what I ate and this is how it made me feel. And this is how I felt before eating it. So I really had to come back into my feelings, because I just didn't understand hunger anymore. I had hunger associated with shame so much that I couldn't distinguish the two. So to be able to separate them and pick out those times, it's like, am I really feeling shame about what I'm eating, or was I feeling shame before? But then I decided to eat to cover it up. And so understanding my feelings was the biggest part of that. And for me, continuing to eat plant-based has helped. It feels like when I do that, and I'm not talking about like, oh, I'm just gonna have fries all day. No, I'm talking about plant-based in the sense that you're eating very little processed food. You're cooking a lot of the stuff, or it's in a more raw form, or you're putting very little of those like additives, like things that are gonna keep you addicted to it. So that's what I mean by plant-based. I mean like a clean plant-based. So not saying that you can't get those same benefits and listen to yourself with like the Whole30 or other things, but that's just what has worked for me. Staying away from processed foods has been the best, because it really helps me get back into my body. So those are sort of the steps I took, and I feel, and also, yeah, sort of going to the last step here. I wouldn't say these steps are necessarily in chronological order. The first couple kind of are, but these last two aren't. Is finding workouts that worked for me. And that sounds, I feel like when I say it sounds like some type of workout ad or like Weight Watchers commercial, but what I mean by that is, I feel like I thought I was supposed to be weightlifting, I was supposed to be running, I was supposed to be doing these specific things. And I feel like when we think we're supposed to be doing anything, there's shame in that. Anytime there's a should and a supposed to, there's shame in there. And I can't like run my life with shame, like and run my health schedule because of shame. So really peeling back the layers and figuring out what I generally love to do. And I love to do yoga. I love to do gymnastics. So not necessarily like in the way I used to do when I was young, but I love to do more of the body weight, dancing, expression type workouts. So a more recent thing that I did, I did a lot of aerial yoga in high school. I didn't get to do it much in college because I didn't have the environment around me. I did a little bit. But I recently got a hook in my house and bought the aerial yoga sling for like $50 on Amazon, and was able to get someone to help me drill the hole in the ceiling so it's like with the support of the ceiling and it's safe, and get back into aerial yoga. And it is a really intense like arm and core workout, and it makes me feel so good to do that, and it feels unique to me, and it feels like there's no shame in it. It's just this incredible way to express myself. And having an active lifestyle with that, and then walking my dog and going on runs sometimes when I want to, has been really freeing for me, because so many things are in the world of health have been dictated by shame, and that seem to affect women more than anything. And it takes a lot of work to overcome that. So those are kind of the steps that I have gone through. And I'll put them down below with some links and maybe make them a little more tangible. I'm not going to be like, this is a 5-step program toward getting over an eating disorder. Like, no. These are just guideposts that have worked for me. And yeah, so that is what I want to talk to you guys today about. And hopefully it helps you wherever you're at in your life. But I hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. And still another shout out to, or I always want to shout out to Tribe, one of the yoga nonprofits for veterans and active duty that I help run. And then also to my dear friend Ella, the soul artist. So look below for her link and her information, and then for Tribe and for doTERRA, my essential oils company. And yeah, so everyone have a great day, and I will talk to you later.